perpetrators of any offenses listed under here for life, liberty, property, etc. That's the drone law.
Yeah.
You know, we heard about it because Virginia had it and was raising stink about it. It's here. All this stuff is here. They're building a base there.
And everybody understands
State college.
something. As of right now,
State college.
according to the mainstream news media, we're all terrorists organizing a plot to take over our government. That's how the stories read. Please understand that when you're reading stories about this kind of stuff. Please.
Well, what I wanted to, the point I want to make to everybody, and Josh said it best, we are responsible to protect our own rights. We're responsible to protect each other's rights. We're bonded together because we all have a common interest here. Josh is a collector and a shootist. He doesn't hunt, he doesn't trap, he doesn't fish. I'm on the trap line at 4:30 in the morning. Trapping fox, coyote, raccoon. I got a predator hunting business where I go out and take kids out hunting, do stuff like that. These liberties, these things that we have been given by our ancestors who fought and died for this stuff. Why should a bunch of Democrats from Philadelphia have the right to restrict it? Just because they don't like it. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much, Tom. That's truly disturbing. I didn't even know that until today.
Getting back to his statement about the drones. 3 weeks ago, I covered a story where the FAA gave a permit to Fort Indian Town Gap to fly 4 drones. Now, the provisions of that permit are that they're for training purposes only and never to leave the property of Fort Indian Town Gap. If anybody in here believes that, I'll tell you some more fairy tales, because I have friends who live in Lebanon County who have shot video of those drones outside the confines of Fort Indian Town Gap already. I also know 3 people who have, let's just say, tried to bring them down. One of them is going to get lucky. Now, I don't know how many of you know the story of the octocopter that was brought down in Berks County.
Pigeon?
Here's the way it works. I own an octocopter. I use it for filming. An octocopter is about this big. That's all the bigger it is. That's about 1/3 the size of a military drone. Right? At one of the shooting clubs down in Berks County, they had a pigeon shoot. So the animal rights wackos decided to show up and harass them. And they brought an octocopter and attached a Sony, very similar to this man's Sony, to the octocopter, and decided to go to the property of the Perry Gun Club, which was on the other side of the road, and fly it by remote control over the top of the gun club on the other side of the road to photograph these guys shooting pigeons. Well,
The Senate bill was introduced by Farnese, Democrat, 1st District, Washington, Democrat, 4th District, Stack, Democrat, 5th District, Williams, Democrat, 8th District, Costa, Democrat, 43rd District, Fontana, Democrat, 42nd District, Hughes, Democrat, 7th District, and Erickson, Republican, 26th District. 3 of these people that proposed this bill sit on the Judiciary Committee, which is controlled by 4 Republicans, 6 Democrats. 3 of those Democrats are on that committee.
What's that telling you, folks?
Yeah.
What is that telling you?
Stat deck.
Our government has been infiltrated by tyrants. And they either have an R behind their name or a D. Most of them have a D.
It should be S for socialist.
You're right, it should be S or C for communist. You know, or N for Nazi. Everybody needs to get a copy of these bills and call these thugs out. House Bill 517. They're all Democrats. And they're all a pack of bums. they need to go. I don't care what you do. You need to call. You need to call these people up personally and say, and ask for the resignation, because this is disgusting. This is un-American.
Let's go down and bullhorn them, Mark.
Let's go, brother.
State Capitol. Let's
go, man. Let's go down armed. I'd like to thank Tom for coming today, and Joshua Prince, and my next speaker. I'd like to introduce my next guest speaker tonight. I became friends with over the past few months. He's a very honorable man. He represents a fantastic organization. I became friends with the president of the organization. We speak quite oftenly. Without ado, I'd like to introduce Oath Keeper Representative Larry Legora.
Somebody give him the microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here with my fellow brother and sister patriots. You guys are awesome. Before I start my presentation, I want to thank Mark Kessler. I want to thank his father for fathering him, because this is what we need in this country. We need a return to manhood, standing up to the tyrants of this day. And as men, we're hardwired to recognize evil, and evil's all around us. Also, I want to thank Joshua Prince. I want to thank his hillbilly partner from Elk County for coming down. Also, Tom, as you know, the county commissioners in Elk County passed an NDAA, resolution. I think there's only one other county that passed that. So you guys are awesome up there in Elk County. I know you have a pretty active Tea Party up there too. But anyway, I have before I start my presentation, I have a question, because we're fortunate here. We have a gentleman in the back that is running the county sheriff brigades. His name is Bill Ryle, and before you leave, make sure you stop by his table. But this guy is truly founding father material. I've had the pleasure I met him about 3 years ago during the Liberty March, when Bill and I and others were delivering articles of freedom to our redcoats down there in the State House. It was actually done nationwide, but I got to meet Bill then. Bill, I have a question for you. You heard those bills that Tom laid out there, all definitely unconstitutional. Yeah. When did the time pass that when a turncoat like that would preach or bring up something that's unconstitutional, when did the time stop to where that guy would have been run out of the rail? Where was the time swing? Was it after the 14th Amendment? Was it, since the war between the states that this has been happening incrementally?
Aggressively since the war between the states.
Yeah.
And at the lead are certain attorneys, certain judges, and certain professors of law. They are the only ones that can do this. They're working for others, but they're the ones doing it.
Right.
And we need to know what the cause is. We also need to know the solution. And the solution is to, in fact, have serious consequences for violating oaths of office. There are none now.
Right. Joshua, I was glad that you pointed out about the Constitution evolving, and I really took exception to that defense attorneys, characterizing the Constitution as having to evolve. And I would say to that defense attorney, well, we're at where we're at in this country because it has evolved. Our founding fathers didn't want it to evolve. They had just finished, our founding fathers had finished facing the greatest army the world had ever seen in the British Army, and defeated it. They knew what tyrants looked like. And right now we're looking at the same tyrants. A lot of them, their same bloodlines even, for crying out loud. We're in a land with a lot of red coats in it now. So I say we need to get back to a strict interpretation of the Constitution, as Joshua said, a constructionist version of it, interpretation of it. Because we've incrementally got away from that is why we're at where we're at. Now, my name is Larry Ligori. I'm from Beech Creek, Pennsylvania. I'm Central Pennsylvania coordinator for Oath Keepers. This is my son, Chad. Oath Keepers was founded by Stuart Rhodes. Stuart Rhodes is a former Army paratrooper, was hurt in a night jump, and he actually got medically discharged. And then he went to Yale Law School, became a constitutional attorney, was a staffer to Ron Paul. Now, Stuart Rhodes, he was watching what was going on with the Patriot Act being passed in 2001, and it was unfortunate what happened with those Twin Towers, but it was amazing how they had that Patriot Act ready to roll out within days.
Yeah, funny how that worked out.
Yeah, and so he had witnessed that. He had witnessed, of course, the John Woo Defense Act, all these, executive orders for continuity of government. He recognized the tyranny that was coming. And then, of course, we had Katrina that occurred. And during Katrina, I know you all know that federal officials, federal law enforcement, FEMA, even First Army, some National Guard units went into high and dry ground and disarmed people. I'm sure you've all seen that video of the elderly woman that was tackled by a bunch of, as Mark says, thugs, and was, just, they beat her up, they bruised her, for crying out loud. I mean, what kind of creature can do that? I mean, I just don't understand. But anyway, that's Stuart. After seeing that, he decided to, after seeing what happened at Katrina, and I would mention there were units that did stand down, and one, you can see it on our website, is a Staff Sergeant May. Staff Sergeant May was a sergeant in the Utah National Guard. They got called to Louisiana. He was part of a military intelligence company. His unit had gotten word of the gun confiscations that were occurring, so he got together with some of his men in his unit and said, hey, this is outside of the Constitution. This is unlawful. We have a duty to disobey this if it comes down to it. So his fellow soldiers said, well, who's going to go approach the CO? So he says, well, I got a big mouth, I will. So he approached the CO and said, hey, we understand there's been some units participating in gun confiscation. That is unlawful. It's outside of the Constitution. And me and the men of our company will not participate. And the CO assured him that they wouldn't be asked to. And if they were asked to, they would not participate. But, I mean, that's an example of a soldier doing his job, recognizing an unlawful order, and doing his duty in honor to the oath that he took, and not allowing it to go any further. And another example that I'll use is during Vietnam, there was the My Lai massacre. It actually occurred March 16, 1968. Some of you may remember, some of you not. But basically, it was Charlie Company of the 11th Infantry, I believe it was. They went into My Lai. G2 intelligence had reported there was a heavy Viet Cong presence in My Lai. It turned out there was actually only 700. There were 700 civilians there, and a scout helicopter piloted by Hugh Thompson. He was a chief warrant officer. And anybody that knows what scout helicopters, their mission in Vietnam was, they were there to support the ground troops. In the case of the scout helicopter, they were there to mark targets. They were there to draw fire, and they were, they were there to suppress fire as well. And anyway, they had, after patrolling the skies and receiving no enemy fire themselves, and seeing no enemy combatants on the ground, and witnessing some villagers fleeing, and then swooping around and coming back and finding that these villagers are dead, they after a while they figured out, well, hey, these are unarmed civilians, women and children and elderly men that are being slaughtered down there. So the chief warrant officer touched his chopper down and actually put his chopper between the ongoing American troops and the civilians that were being slaughtered. And he actually, confronted Lieutenant Calley and, told him what you're doing is wrong. His door gunner and his crew chief formed a perimeter around the helicopter with, they both carried M60 machine guns. Now, they didn't train their weapons on the troops that were, were pursuing the unarmed civilians. And also, it's also worthy to say, there was over 100 troops, and only about a third actually participated in the slaughter. But anyway, they performed they set up a perimeter around the helicopter, and did not train their weapons on the troops, but certainly stood the guys down. And Hugh Thompson was able to go in and rescue innocent villagers. And subsequently, after years later, Lieutenant Calley, he got charged and actually went to jail. There was others involved. There was a cover up by senior officers because they didn't want egg on their face, but it was just a very bad situation. But it was another example of a guy. In this case, maybe not being an unconstitutional order, but it was certainly in violation of the UCMJ. So he did what he was supposed to do, and honored his Constitution and his oath to the UCMJ, and stopped any further killing. So anyway, that's just two examples of really where the troops support their oath and honor their oath and can stop something bad from happening. And that's why Stewart started the organization, so we could educate the guys with the guns, our active duty military, law enforcement, and just remind them that, hey, your oath isn't to a political regime. Your oath is to the Constitution. You have a duty to honor that oath and recognize an unconstitutional order. So that's really one of our main jobs, is to reach out to our active duty people and remind them of that. It's called RTI, Reach, Teach, and Inspire. It was started. The organization was started April 19, 2009. We're almost 4 years old, and we're going strong. Our membership has doubled in Pennsylvania since Sandy Hook, and I'm going to let my son here say a few words, and if you have any questions afterwards, we'll certainly take them.
Let me just ask everybody a question. Who all knew about that My Lai massacre? Okay. Now, I'm 25. How many kids my age do you think know about that? None. Exactly. Now, another question. How many people 25 and younger are here? Okay, we got a couple. It's good to see. Now, why is that? My generation, it's not like, just we were born bad people. How many kids are just being, through college, they're brainwashed, right? Okay, so we need to do everything we can to get the youth back in this, because quite frankly, we're nothing without, the youth. We have to be united. Mark said something very powerful at a Williamsport Tea Party meeting. He said, if you're not happy with how things are, be a police officer. Go out, be a judge. Run for those offices. I mean, I'm a mechanic. I was happy doing that. I'm 25. I'd much rather be doing a lot of things right now, but this is way more important. And I might go for a police officer. Maybe one day I'll go for a sheriff. Who knows? But you guys are my brothers, and we need to stand, get the youth together, and Oath Keepers is just one big part of this. So many good organizations are here today, and we need to form some kind of umbrella and get together, because come on. We should be seeing a lot bigger percentage of people waking up, and it's really is growing, and that's a great thing. But they're coming at us hard, so just keep that in mind. Talk to your kids or grandkids or whatever. Just talk to them, because it's important we get those kids, because they are being so brainwashed that what are we going to do? So, but thank you.
Larry, I'd like to present you with a Constitutional Securities Force shirt.
Oh, wow.
And a hat, and make you an honorary member for life, brother.
Oh, man.